One thing was abundantly clear. These candidates were fighters.
People deserve someone who are going to fight for the people and not for corporations.
To be able to encourage someone to run for office, man, it is truly the lack of political will from our Democrats. And their backbone is literally just missing, right? And you put both of those components together, and then on top of that, you taking money from the same folks the Republicans taking money from.
Welcome back to Harvard. That was a clip from filmmaker Michael Moore's latest documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9. The film examines the factors that led to the rise of the Trump presidency and the impact it has had on the 2 years since the 2016 election, including what Moore calls the failure of Democrats to fight back. I'm joined now by Michael Moore. Michael, thanks for coming on. We're going to promote the movie. It's got to making a lot of noise, as you always do, and the right kind of noise. Let me ask you, have any thoughts about this current mishigas going on right now with this court nominee?
Well, yes, I've thought for the last couple of months that any president who is under a criminal investigation, possibly for treason, should have the right to appoint no one to any office, especially such a high office as the Supreme Court. So right there, that was wrong and still is wrong to begin with. As far as what's happening now with Justice Kavanaugh and the allegations, there should be a full investigation. They should not rush this. And the American people deserve the truth about who he is and what his character is. And I was watching the news earlier this afternoon, and I heard somebody on this network say back when they were teenagers. Well, I think now we know that he was 17 and she was at least a couple years younger. And 15. That makes, she's 15, I believe. Yeah. So he was either a junior or senior in high school and she was a freshman or a sophomore. So it's that to just call them teenagers tries to soften what may be really going on here. So let's call this what it is. Let's have the investigation. And but Trump shouldn't be appointing anybody at this point anyways until Mueller has completed his investigation.
You're a pretty good prognosticator. You figured out that Trump was going to win in Michigan and win the country last time. You're about alone on that. So let's talk about the elections of 50 days from now. Women, I mean, my instinct is to say a lot. From what I've been able to tell, certainly where I grew up in Philadelphia and around the suburbs around Philly, I think the Democrats are going to clean up. Women, I think, who some of them had a problem with Hillary in personality terms, or men, that's gone. Now they're just going to vote philosophy. I think they're going to sweep the House. What's your thinking?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could go either way. There could definitely be a tsunami of women and young people and people of color at the polls on November 6th. I think everybody knows this is the most important election. People ask me, well, what do you think about 2020? Who should run in 2020? My answer is, I don't even know what 2020 is. There is only one election, the most important election, and that's November 6th. So if people get out, I think that there's enough good candidates, really good candidates, Chris, this time that are running. Like you showed in the clip there, fighters, people who have a backbone. The things why a lot of Democrats maybe have stayed home and have become non-voters, I think maybe they'll come back this time because who is on your ballot in your local elections, in your state elections, in your congressional district are fighters. And I would encourage people to check it out because we've got good progressive candidates running, and we can not only create a sweep here, it can be a sweep for real change, not half measures like we're often used to.
You know, when I was 28 years old, I run for the House against the machine. I know all about taking on authority. And I'm wondering how the real authority figure I'm afraid of right now is Trump. And you talk in your documentary about it being not Hitler, because that's dangerous to talk like that. But there's something in the air right now with Trump that was like the 30s in Germany. Tell me about what you fear most from this president.
What I fear, not maybe so much from the president, is what I fear about ourselves. I think we already got Trump's number. He's an autocrat. He doesn't like democracy very much, but you could say that about just about every CEO. They don't run their businesses as democracies, so they're not inclined to that. And the idea of one person, one vote, there's 325 million of us and less than 1,000 of them. So that one person, one vote thing isn't good either if you're rich. I think what's important here when you talk about the 30s in Germany is that Germany then was a very educated, enlightened, cultured society. and it was one of the most liberal democracies in the world. And the Nazis won an election, and then there was a terrorist incident, the Reichstag fire, and Hitler said, we've got to clamp down and we've got to ban these parties, and he consolidated power during a time when people were afraid. That's what I'm worried about, that whatever happens under Trump, whatever national emergency, a real emergency may happen, that we not allow him to take away our democratic rights because he has to protect us. That's what we have to be very, very cautious of when that point happens. And so I point that out in the movie, that there are these parallels. But as far as fascism, there was a book I read a number of years ago called Friendly Fascism. And the author said that the fascism of the 21st century would not come with concentration camps and swastikas. It will come with a TV show and a smiley face. Yeah. And that is really how Trump and others like him are trying to commandeer the American public through this kind of propaganda, and also by helping to dumb down the country. Our schools aren't what they used to be. Our libraries are closing. We have less and less of a diverse press. And when you dumb down a country, you end up with a Donald Trump.
How do you put together, there's a couple times in our history when the left's been able to lead the center left and the middle to a progressive agenda. The first and second New Deals, of course, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, a little bit under Obama, when the left has been able to lead the center left and the middle. How do you put together that kind of progressive coalition to beat Trump? I know you don't want to do it yet, but 2020.
I think actually we should be talking about just left. We are a liberal country. We are the majority.
Can you get a 50%? Can you get 270 electoral votes in the
yes.
in electoral college coming 2020 on the left, hard left?
If we have
left.
Strong yes. No, I don't call hard left. It's like our parents used to go, he's listening to that hard rock. It's rock, and it is left. The American people are very liberal. They take the liberal position on just about every single issue, whether it's climate change, minimum wage, mass incarceration, equal pay for women. You go down the whole list. Americans take the liberal position. So we are a liberal country. We got 3 million more votes in this last election than the other side. People should start acting like we're the majority, because we are the majority. And I think that Chris, try to look at it that. I don't think the old way of looking at it in terms of being a moderate or being a centrist, I think that's hurt Democrats because they haven't taken a strong position. I interviewed John Podesta for this film.
Okay. I'll disagree with you on one issue where you quoted me in the movie. I'll disagree on the issue that clip. Late-term abortion in Pennsylvania, where I grew up, is a killer. Hillary went way too far on that. It's one thing to be pro-choice, but you get into late term, which she, for whatever reason, down the line defended. It was a big mistake with a lot of people I grew up with, and I think it drove up unfairly, totally unfairly, the Trump vote. That's what I think. So that's not an economic issue.
That's your view of that, but here's what I think. I think the America we live in now it's right now more than 2/3 of the electorate is either female, people of color, or 18 to 35-year-olds, or a combination of those three.
Right.
That's the America that's voting now. It isn't white guys of your age or mine. Okay. Not that you're that much older. But I'm just saying I think...
I'm a fan of Michael Moore, so we're going to come back with you next time. I'm out of time, Michael. Last thought, quickly. I'm sorry.
That this tsunami of women, of young people at the polls and on the ballot, this is what hopefully is going to save us. And everybody right now who's watching me, just about, unless you live in Montana or Texas, you live within a couple of hours driving distance of a swing district. Plan on spending at least one weekend in October, getting out there, get out the vote. We're the majority, and it's time to end this madness. We have to end it now. We may not make it to 2020 with the democracy that we want to have.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.